Hello, I'm John Eagles, a retired psychiatrist and co-creator of the Temple V Weight Management and Temple Vitality Lifestyle programs. The topic of this webinar is ultra-processed foods, and this has been devised as an educational resource to support both of these programs. So, what are these ultra-processed foods? They are a relatively modern invention. Some people say it's simple to identify them. Anything your grandmother would not have served up. But my granny never made curry and had not even imagined couscous or an avocado. So I think that's a bit simplistic, but nevertheless a helpful way of approaching things. Basically, we mean eat real food. Ultra-processed foods have been worked on industrially to make them last a long time, to be tasty, often with a high sugar, fat, salt content and so on, to be easily transportable to shops, and to make lots of money for the food and drinks industry. Ultra-processed foods are almost always high in calories but lack protein, fibre, vitamins and minerals. If you look at the nutrition label, it is a good rule of thumb that anything containing additives, that's colouring, flavouring, sweeteners, preservatives and so on, is likely to be ultra-processed. Various ways of classifying foods have been published, but the NOVA system is the most widely accepted. Here are the 4 NOVA categories. In Group 1, there are natural foods in their raw state. So this includes fruits, nuts, seeds, vegetables, milk, meat, and so on, occurring in nature unaltered. They might be minimally processed by being dried, crushed, boiled or chilled, all natural processes. In Group 2, we have processed culinary ingredients such as butter, oil, sugar, salt and yeasts. These are derived naturally from Group 1, unprocessed foods. Group 3 contains processed foods and are made by adding Group 2 substances to Group 1 foods. So this would include cheese, bread, fruits and syrup, canned vegetables and canned fish or meat. Then Group 4, ultra-processed foods. These contain the substances not derived from the natural world. Artificial, scientifically produced stuff such as flavour enhancers, non-sugar sweeteners, colourings, emulsifiers, and all sorts of other things that you will see on food labels. Do we eat a lot of ultra-processed stuff, you might ask? We certainly do now, but we didn't used to. In the UK, the USA and in Canada, more than 50% of calories consumed are ultra-processed. Consumption is growing in countries such as Brazil and Mexico, and growing there even faster than it is in our highly developed countries. In Sweden, a study found that between 1960 and 2010, the consumption of ultra-processed foods rose by a staggering 142%. Why do we eat so much ultra-processed food? It's quick and easy for busy people, and it's often more affordable than unprocessed food, so it's preferred by people struggling to feed a family. It is manufactured by the powerful and very clever, profit-hungry food and drinks industry. So it's designed to be tasty and is often artificially sweetened. These ultra-processed foods are usually attractively packaged and very well advertised. All these things make these foods so hard to resist. But so what, you might say? Is it actually bad for us? The answer, I'm afraid, is a resounding yes. Ultra-processed food can be very bad for our health in lots of ways. Many people link the worldwide obesity epidemic to the huge rise in consumption of UPFs. At an individual level, people who eat the most ultra-processed food are about twice as likely to be obese as those who eat the least. One study randomly allocated people to unprocessed diets or to ultra-processed diets and then swapped the groups over. The ultra-processed people gained an average of 1 kilogram in a fortnight and lost this again when they went on to unprocessed food. If you want to see the effects of an ultra-processed diet on a previously healthy person, you might watch Dr. Chris Van Tuliken's program on BBC iPlayer. This is called What Are We Feeding Our Kids? It's pretty horrifying. Quite apart from making you overweight, you'll see on the slide some of the main medical conditions linked to the consumption of UPFs. When you look at that list, you may agree that we should be doing as much to discourage people from eating ultra-processed food as we do to try and help people stop smoking. How do ultra-processed foods cause all these ill effects? They do not nurture our gut bacteria, our microbiome, which needs to be healthy and diverse in order to exert its wide-ranging beneficial effects on our well-being. It is beyond the scope of this webinar to do justice to the complexities of the microbiome, but you will find more information about it elsewhere on our website and in other webinars and blogs. Ultra-processed foods also disrupt our gut hormones, which in turn influence our appetite hormones, telling us if we're hungry and when we have eaten enough. When ultra-processed foods are high in refined carbohydrates, this causes spikes in blood sugar, resulting in spikes in insulin production. This pushes our body to lay down more fat. The insulin also lowers blood sugar, resulting in increased hunger, which drives us to eat more ultra-processed food, thus generating a vicious circle. As mentioned earlier, ultra-processed foods are nutritionally poor, lacking in protein, fiber, vitamins and minerals, and making them a nutritionally deficient diet, which is clearly damaging to our health and well-being. So, how should we approach coming off ultra-processed food? Especially if you currently eat a lot. Remember, the average person in Britain gets half of their calories from ultra-processed foods, then a slow reduction is generally best. And it starts with food shopping. Read the labels, know what you might be eating, and look out for the telltale additives. If it is an ultra-processed food, then don't buy it. Temptation will lurk afterwards if you do, in your fridge or in your cupboard. Remember, all sweetened and fizzy drinks are likely to be ultra-processed, so look out for these especially. And forward plan with your shopping and your cooking. Buy the right ingredients in bulk if you can, and then batch cook stuff that freezes well. Then you will have something healthy to eat which is readily available. So it will be easier to resist the temptation of grabbing a seductively packaged meal on your way home. Or even worse, ordering up a takeaway. Takeaways are usually particularly packed with ultra-processed ingredients and laden with calories. The average Chinese takeaway contains more than 2,000 calories. So, recognize the threats and then minimize them. Fail to plan means plan to fail. I'm hoping you can start making small changes and will feel better as a result. Your health will thank you. Good luck.